One of my favorite quotes is that the world is not made of atoms, it is made of stories. I can't remember who said that. Probably Robin would know. Robin is my guest and he knows everything. But he is here and he will introduce himself before we get into the topic of the day, which is the space of performing arts in a society that is very much shaped towards science. So, karibu. My name is Chenyenyozi and hi Robin.
Hi Joy.
Who said what I said?
I wish I knew.
Okay, cool. So just tell me a little bit about yourself.
But give me a day, I'll probably know who said what you said.
I bet.
Yeah, so my name is Robin Omeka, as you already know. I also perform on stage as Enigma Kreative. That's creative with a K. I also run an art collective. It's called the Omeka Initiative. And yeah, basically that's me in a nutshell.
Plus you're a very good person. You're a good person. Now tell me, Robin, how can we make performing arts an actual thing to be celebrated, not just when people are bored or as an afterthought, because I feel like it's treated as an afterthought, but as the main event. How do we get to that?
So I'd say the biggest problem, in my opinion, is that people think that artistic expression has finished its use when you've been entertained. In fact, I always say entertainment is a byproduct of the artistic process, because art has the power to achieve so much more. And I'd say the conversation needs to shift, starting with the artists themselves, because when as an artist you challenge yourself to do the research, to bring in how issues are shaped in the society into how you express your art, then effectively you're helping people reflect more on the issues that the wider society is facing. You're educating them on the issues society is facing, and you're helping them be able to like contribute in the conversation. Because if I will go to a show because Enigma Kreative is performing, and Enigma Kreative happens to say something about, the Constitution, I know one more thing about the Constitution now.
That I didn't know.
And tomorrow, out of some weird, twisted occurrence of fate, I will be in a conversation that will require that nugget of wisdom, and I'll be able to give it because now I know it. And that's how I see artistic expression should be done. Yeah.
So then you have brought in a very important aspect, which is the education bit. So how then do we nurture children or even youth, anyone who's in school really, to get into performing arts? So basically what systems can we put in place that will encourage performing arts to be celebrated, to be an education tool,
Yeah. So I'd say with the current education system we have, there's a lot of hope.
CBC?
Yeah, there's a lot of hope, because it challenges the systems that we have known as the conventional ones. Unfortunately, the 844 system, when they scraped off the whole focus on art, when they did away with arts and craft and all that kind of stuff and music, it was a big blow that only now we are beginning to see the effects of, because we've had several generations removed from that teaching of art.
Or even reading music.
Exactly. So I'd say right now, the CBC framework provides a very simple way to plug in, art. And I feel like it's now a question of building the value chains. Us as people who are already in the field practicing, what different things can we do to bring up a society of young people that are talented, because young people are very talented.
Extremely so, yeah.
Yeah, but then how do they process their talent? How do they feed it so that it is responsive to the needs of society even when they express it? Because you can be entertained and educated and also educate people as you entertain them.
Yes.
As an artist. And I feel
edutainment.
Exactly. Yeah, so
I think I learned that from you.
Well,
probably.
I don't know. But then the thing is, when we start building value systems that respond, for instance, I teach on intellectual property. I also teach on a concept called human-centered design. These two things cut across any industry. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Human-centered design helps people in whatever field to create solutions for the people they are trying to create solutions for. Intellectual property helps you understand, how do I guard the thing that I have created, because it's intellectual real estate, which is a whole other conversation in the art space, because I don't know if you've heard of NFTs and all that stuff.
Oh wait, yes I have.
Yeah. So it's basically like, it's exactly like how you'd say, I want to own a plot of land in, say, Kitengela.
Right.
Then you go through the process and acquire a piece of land and a title deed.
That is what should be done.
Exactly.
With regards to art.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because then we are able to put value to something tangible.
Yes.
Quote unquote tangible, quote unquote. But in the here and now, how can we make the environment more conducive for performers like Enigma Kreative? How can we create a beautiful environment for Enigma Kreative to thrive, and Dofan, because you're wearing his thing?
Yes, shout out Dofan.
Hi Dofan.
Yeah, so I'd say it will start with Enigma Kreative and Dofan, and then move out to, because as somebody who's a consumer of art, you are only ever there to be incited or inspired. Okay. So if I have a clear direction of where I want my artistic expression to be categorized as, it helps you, the consumer, know how to engage with me.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so when we artists are able to like collect ourselves together and be deliberate about the messages and the structures that we feel will help us, and challenge the ones that exist so that they are better, it enables people, because if, for example, you're a TV presenter, you're not exactly inclined to help artists other than at the point where you meet them.
Of course.
You know, so until the artists have a defined structure, a defined, way of operation and structures that respond to their needs, it's very difficult for anybody else to plug in, which is why the music industry is doing really well, because there are so many frameworks.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. Right now in the country, we have the Permanent Presidential Music Commission, I think, PPMC.
Oh yes.
Yeah?
I think that was from Moi's era.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's gotten to a point where from a presidential decree level, it can be plugged into.
Right.
And so all other art forms need to either, you have to find a way. We need to do the work.
Okay, you know what? I hear a lot of agenda setting, and that makes me excited, because I feel like that is the role of artists in the society, to set agenda and proper agendas. But now I have started telling you instead of asking questions. So
it's fine. Conversation.
So now, talk to me about existing framework within which artists can thrive, specifically performing artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
So artists can thrive on so many fronts. One, it also depends on how you package yourself as an artist. For example, the baseline is, if you're an artist and you're not creating content, then you start to die slowly, because content is the product. And people will always identify you and latch other causes onto you, or define you in a particular way depending on the content you churn out. So I'd say it starts with creating content, building a backlog of it, and you can thrive based on what content you make. There's a reason why King Kaka is the brand ambassador for Remy Martin.
Yeah.
And Calligraph Jones is a brand ambassador for Monster and other products. There's a reason why We have a gospel musician as the brand ambassador for UNHCR. You know, it's because the different messages you choose to give with the artistic expression helps the industry and people with money to plug you in. And so it needs, first, I'd say the first step is create content. Be very deliberate about the content you create. Do your research. Find people, make networks and partnerships that allow you to be an artist who has content that people can consume. Then be very strategic in how you approach different people to help you, or you help them build a message around the content, because there are so many places artists can plug in. As long as there's a place where a message is being driven, whether it's commercial, whether you're looking to advertise a commodity, whether you're looking to build awareness on a campaign on different social issues, artists can always plug in.
Artist is always there.
An artist is always there.
Always there.
Yeah. And you see, also the definition of an artist is somebody who is creating content, period. So the moment you stop creating content,
then you cease being an
artist. Yeah, and you know, as you continue creating content, you will always find yourself in spaces that allow you to use the information that is current in society and then plug that into your content so that it remains relevant across
all through.
Yeah.
Robin.
Yes.
About this topic that you're very passionate about, what is it that you would want to say in conclusion?
Yeah, so in conclusion, I'd like to say that the work needs to be done. The work must be done, regardless of who is doing it. Which is to say that everybody needs to step up. And the scene doesn't change itself. You know, if you step up and you go out there and you have your thought processes challenged as an artist, as a consumer of art, there's always something you can learn from somebody else in the industry. There's always something somebody else can learn from you. And there's always room for collaborations, because collaborations broaden the conversation. And when a conversation broadens, the industry benefits, because that's an added perspective that helps shape it. And so when we are not pushing ourselves to meet in these spaces and express our art and be, you know, positive and malleable enough to have it corrected or challenged or critiqued, you know, it becomes difficult for us to grow. You know, we just become bitter artists who just know they are talented with nothing to show for it.
And yet, as you said, someone else will do the work.
Someone else will do the work.
Yeah,
and take the market share you're supposed to take.
True. Yeah. And then you'll be sitting there thinking, I would have done this.
Yeah, also, I'd add also that artists need to also recognize that every artist has a shelf life. There's always a shelf life. And when you start out, you know, you grow. That's why some different groups start, stop, they want to start again, and then they are not able to, because the shelf life is done. So you need to always be willing to grow, so that when that shelf life ends, you can pivot, or you know, find a new path and take your audience with you, because the audience grows, and audiences love to see you grow.
You know what, I feel like doing this right now. Robin, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I think my biggest takeaway is that the work will be done. With me, without me, it will be done. And also it calls for a great level of humility to agree and accept that this work, it has to be done. Not necessarily by me. I would do it, but not necessarily by me. If I don't do it, someone else will. Thank you. So thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this. Engage with us in the comments. And if you want to reach out to us, do so. Discuss KE. Okay, anyway. Reach out to us on Discuss KE across all platforms. And this man here, his stage name is Enigma Kreative with a K. I think you'll find him on social media platforms as such. Okay. Cool. So thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.